We are at the Hilton East Brunswick Hotel and Executive Meeting Center, October 20th to the 22nd. The main conference is Friday, October 20th. Weekend activities on the 21st and 22nd. Packed agendas all 3 days. We released the main conference agenda. We are going to go through it in detail today. I'm just putting this slide up so you know that this slide exists. You can find it on our social channels or in the newsletter, I believe. But all of the information is also in the drop down on OHDSI.org under the symposium. As I mentioned, it's a full weekend. Again, we're going to go through everything, but I want to give the high-level overview first. So again, Friday, main conference. Saturday, some activities and the Intro to Odyssey tutorial. Saturday afternoon is going to be the How Often workshop. Sunday morning, the second part of the How Often workshop, and then Sunday afternoon, more work group activities. Collaborator Showcase goes all 3 days. We had an incredible amount of, both in terms of quantity and quality, submissions to our Collaborator Showcase. Again, talk more about that shortly. But so a reminder, that's going to go all 3 days. We have the ballroom at the Hilton East Brunswick for all 3 days, which is unlike what we had in Bethesda. So we're going to keep those posters up, and we want you to be checking them out and talking to each other throughout the weekend. And this will look at all the different activities that are planned throughout the weekend. So it is a busy and packed weekend, but we want to go into the detail of the actual scientific content that you will be experiencing over the weekend, over the symposium weekend. And we're going to start on Friday with the main conference agenda. I'm going to work with Patrick on this discussion, but this is meant to be interactive. I know at times we have kind of like saved questions for the end. We don't want to save questions for the end. As we go through, if you have a question about any session or anything, either raise your hand, or if I don't see you at the time, just jump in and start talking. But on that note, Patrick, let's kind of just start with the morning. We've typically done the State of the Community. Often it's just been George. This year, we have numerous people who are going to take part in this discussion.
Yeah, and I'll start by thanking you, Craig. One of the things that we've now made an annual tradition is creating an annual report for our community called Our Journey, and that forms the basis of our State of the Community. And Craig's been doing a great job of curating that content, and I know is very hard at work to make sure that it can get to the printers so that we'll have nice hard copies to pick up at the symposium. And I thank many of you in the community who've contributed to this new edition. The book keeps getting richer with content, and it's great to see the contributions coming in. George will highlight some of the key findings there. But given that at the start of this year, we talked about some strategic priorities for the community, we really wanted to dive in a little bit deeper to showcase those. And so we're excited that this year we'll have Claire talking about our work towards expanding the use of the OMOP CDM and expanding what it means to be part of the Odyssey Data Network with the great work that she's been leading. We'll have Alex presenting on the work that we've done to evolve the process improvements for the standardized vocabulary. And then Katie will be representing our work on the Odyssey's open source community and the work that we've tried to do to really expand the ability for our tools to be expanded use and maturing our development process. We'll also get a sneak preview on what's upcoming for our regional symposiums in Europe and Asia Pacific next year. We're also going to be doing an exercise led by Faiza and Cynthia to do some community networking. So for those that this may be their first time coming around to an Odyssey symposium, I described it to our Columbia trainees earlier as it's like a scientific conference, except that there's a large dose of community collaboration that we're really trying to facilitate. And to do that, we'll be doing some exercises throughout the day, and appreciate that Faiza and Cynthia will lead us in a group exercise to allow us to form some new friendships and make some connections that hopefully can allow us to continue forward with collaborations moving forward in the morning.
So that moves us to the plenary. I know every year you work hard, or the team works hard on the plenary. This year focuses improving the reliability and scale of case validation.
Yeah, so this is work that Anna and Martijn and I have been leading and have been having lots of conversations with many folks in the community. But really what we're going to hope to do in this session is really focus on what I think is a community problem that we all face, that I'm optimistic that we as a community could make a transformative scientific breakthrough that could really change things. And that's specifically this conventional need that we need to have a series of clinical experts review paper charts to determine that a person actually has a particular disease, which is largely a requirement for much of the regulatory science work that we do. And case adjudication is something that we know is extremely time and resource intensive, and is of questionable merits as it relates to what do we do once we learn that we've estimated the positive predictive value of a case series. And so we've been doing a lot of great work in the community over this last year thinking about this problem, and we've developed some interesting innovations, and we'd like to showcase that during this plenary session. We also really want to emphasize the work that we've done as a community on network studies. And so we've had several key activities going on this year. Of course, Mark Suchard's been leading our Legend Type 2 Diabetes effort, and we'll be showcasing the progress that the broader group has made there. And earlier this year, we did our Sisyphus Challenge, and we got a lot of great insights from the studies there. So great to have Cindy and Chan and Senna to be able to highlight work that had gone on and the progress that's been going on since we took 8 weeks as part of our community to focus together on how to conduct network studies.
All right, that will take us to lunch. The afternoon session is starts with the panel discussion, and then we move to the collaborator showcase, which is not moving. Okay, our collaborator showcase. This is going to be a full afternoon, as I mentioned, based on the number of submissions we got, which was a record number again, and the great work that we got. We have 2 sessions of lightning talks. I didn't want to make them super small so you could read them all. We'll have 2 sessions of lightning talks, 2 sessions of poster and demo sessions. I wanted to highlight, and I dropped the ball on this one, I wanted to create a slide with all the faces of our scientific review committee, which did excellent work helping put this together. So if you don't mind, maybe just if you were part of the scientific review committee, maybe just raise your hand, either on camera or through Teams, and just so we can appreciate and recognize the great work that you have done in this. Patrick, what stood out to you about the collaborator showcase?
Yeah, I'll just make a quick comment, and then I'd really love to hear from our scientific review committee. What I'm really proud of is that we had this group of individuals in our community who reviewed all of the submissions for posters, demos, and lightning talks, and provided a very thorough peer review, provided thoughtful feedback to our submissions, but also got the opportunity to have a sneak preview of all the cool stuff that's going on, and made the hard decisions about how do we prioritize what's going to be presented as a lightning talk and how to organize the content, and are even moving forward with helping us through leading our presentations, moderator and poster walk leads.
אישור מהאיחוד האירופי לעשות את ההחלפה, אבל לדעתי זה יגיע.
No worries. So really appreciate that the committee was able to do that. I asked the committee if they could provide some thoughts so they could share with you why you should be excited about our afternoon together. So I'll let Craig, you can go through all the hands that are up since we've got so many here to be recognized.
Yeah, actually, this guy, because there are hands raised, I don't actually know. I know people have asked about or just to be recognized. But if there's anybody, let's just do it this way. If you want to unmute and just share some thoughts on some of the submissions, maybe something you saw or just, what you felt overall, I'd love to hear from a couple of people of the review committee. Paul, I saw you unmute, so yep.
I'm happy to start. Is that okay?
Yep.
So I was really excited by we had a great number of submissions. I have a keen eye for looking at the ETL side of things. And so I was really excited by new advances in open source Jackalope and the rise of assistance to help you with unmapped terminologies. I saw some really nice advancements in DBT for standardizing our ETL processes. I've seen the new use of standards like Sesam for mapping our concept mappings. And so I'm kind of excited by all the maturity we're seeing in the evolution on the ETL side. And that was just a few of the things I can remember off the top of my head seeing coming into the conference.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Joel, I see you unmuted, so.
Yeah, it's just a lot of great papers, like 12 of them. One of the things I'm really interested in seeing is Asia Golazar is using a sort of innovative method to be able to pull out cancer regimens using a technique from protein biochemistry and protein chemistry. And I'm really interested to talk to her and see what her and her group have done with that.
Awesome. Thank you, Joel. Thamir.
Yeah, I was really lucky to be a reviewer last year and this year, and there's really big improvement. It's not about the quality, but the type of the topics that's included. I'm really interested to see the work. I see there's a work on the Darwin, the assessing the quality of the data and also the estimation of the dose. Also, there is an interesting project that I think it's really going to help a lot, which is about the assessing the safety signal and pharmacovigilance using methodological packages within OMAP. So this is another project. And also, there's an interesting experience from Indonesia. So I really like it. So I think someone who's also starting OMAP here, I think it is really very grateful to learn from their experience to apply it in ours. So it really was fun, and thanks again.
Great, Thamir. Thank you very much. I'm just gonna lower people's hands as they go, so I know. Okay, Hannah.
Yeah, I think one of the really cool things about the OHDSI community is the tools that are being developed and kind of being shared with people. And so I love looking at the software demos. Actually, I think those are really cool and ways that it's not only just a piece of research that gets out there, which is also great in its own right, but like tools that we can then kind of adopt and use based on how we set up data and just the excitement. I think that's a really unique and cool thing about OHDSI. So I love kind of looking at those and learning about those more at the conference too.
Great, thank you, Hannah. Now at this point, I'm going to assume anybody who's got their hands up are going to talk. So I'm just going to start calling on people as we go. If you don't want to talk, just lower your hands. Aza.
Yeah, my first general comment is I was on the scientific committee last year and this year, and I can definitely feel not only the volume, but Thamir said that, but the quality and the rigor of the work. I felt that improvement, and that was very, very exciting. The other thing that I liked about all the submissions that I reviewed, and also the submissions I've heard about from others who reviewed things, is they felt like they're a true reflection of what's the community's focus on as a group this year. So it felt like it's really when things came together in the symposium, and it's reflected across multiple organizations, multiple people at multiple levels in their journey. So that was a great feeling that I got. It's also, I felt there's both the depth and the depth in the science, and also the broadness of the science. So those papers were really a reflection of where the community is, and that was really a great thing to feel as I looked at all those papers. I'm personally very looking forward for all the things about phenotypes. The paper from Tom on looking at how concepts are behaving compared to notes from EHI is very, very interesting. I'm looking at Jenna's work on prediction of those phenotypes you found in the library that found to be predictors of many outcomes. So those are very interesting papers. But everything on phenotyping was very, very different, diverse, and great, really.
Great, thank you, Aza. Asya.
So first, I have to agree with also, like compared to last year, I think I at least was feeling that the quality is much better and the volume and everything. Very much enjoyed reading a lot of that. So two highlights for me. I was very lucky and I was very excited to see two great abstract about sort of demonstration of the journey of both from Dima and John of how they're adopting like working with oncology data and adopting the oncology module or like ETLing their oncology data. Very much looking forward to hearing more. The other thing that there's a lot of good work, especially phenotyping different types of approaches. And for us, I think like as the review committee, we got the opportunity to start this conversation and providing feedback. What I'm very much looking forward to is to continue this discussion both throughout the session. So having that engagement and hopefully having other people who can chime in. So we pretty much keep it active from like giving each other feedbacks, recommendations, so that the work keeps moving forward. And yeah.
Thank you, Asya. Reminds it just that kind of triggered the thought. We do have, you'll notice on the slides, poster walks for both sessions. So if you want to be kind of just involved in a walk and go through, you know, we'll have them for data standards, methods, open source, and clinical applications. If you want to go on your own, that's totally fine. But these are our options for the session. Kevin.
So my only comment is that given the quantity and the quality, it's good that the posters will be up all weekend, because I think it will take all weekend to actually absorb all of it. So I think that you're going to want to spend some time with these on Saturday and Sunday as well, and people will still be around to grab and talk to.
Absolutely. Great point, Kevin. And specifically, that was, you know, when we saw what we had, we knew we had to go beyond just Friday. John.
Yeah, thanks, guys. You know, I've probably been on the committee maybe 5 or 6 years or however long there's been a committee. And, you know, even back then, we thought we had like lots of great papers. We thought this is amazing. And now it's just incredible how much it's progressed, both in terms of the breadth of work and the depth. One of the things that I'm most excited about, and there's lots of specifics that I geek out on with LLMs and all that, but just in general, you know, whatever the opposite of not invented here syndrome is what OHDSI has. Like people are like, I'm using that. Somebody presented on this last year, or somebody talked about this or did a poster, and I'm going to grab it and I'm going to build from it. And that is like the coolest thing. And I think one of the aspects that I'm most excited about is how much people build on other people's work and not just their own. So thank you. Yeah, super excited.
Great point, John. Andrew.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo the sense of having been on, I think, all of them, the scope and quality. But it's a moment when, if you're swimming in the OHDSI water and don't get your chance to kind of pick up and see the breadth of what's happening, that's what happens when you're on this review committee. And it reminds you how astounding the kind of audacity of what OHDSI is trying to do across all of these things of modeling data, building tools, building methods. And it's succeeding in a way, and it's the maturity that you see, this like kind of crazy level of ambition that the community has come to fruition in a way that's really, I don't know. As much as I had hoped in the early days that OHDSI was going to like succeed in all these ways, there's so many problems to be tackled and so many challenges that are hard that take an entire community. And the fact that it's being pulled off doesn't always sink in unless you kind of pick up. You got a chance to pick your head up, and that's what kind of comes home to me. And when I'm in these review committees, is like this actually all works. It's kind of insane. That's my.
It's a great comment, Andrew. Absolutely. Atif.
No, I'm just going to echo everyone else. Unlike most people, this was my first scientific review committee, so I have the other extreme of not having any background information. But I think coming from other scientific committees that are purely academic, it was really invigorating and exciting to see the amount of interdisciplinary collaborations. I think we talk about OHDSI being a place for everyone and not just academics or technical experts. It's for everyone who is interested in the space. And I think the posters that I had that I was able to review really showcase that, folks really expanding the span of equity research to technical expertise to tools development, and really picking up the OHDSI packages themselves and enhancing it. And I really see this idea of different work groups not really working in silos, but coming together to create a poster that enhances the work overall. Things that stood out, I think there was a really exciting poster from the health equity side. There was a group from Boston Medical College, Bill Adams and Sarah Gassman, who built a health equity framework, our shiny tool that sits on top of some of the work that we do to really enhance the equity measures that we have. So I'm excited to see I think that's actual poster demonstration, and they're doing a workshop as well.
Great, thank you, Atif. Before I call on Jose, I do really want to highlight, what we've just talked about here in the last couple minutes. I mean, we have people who have been part of this review committee for 7-8 years, and we love John and we love Andrew. We want them to be on it forever, but this is open to anybody, and we want new people in the community to have new voices and be part of this whole experience. So if you didn't do it this year, and next year comes around, you'll be like, oh, I really want to do that. Please do join. It's not a grueling process. A couple meetings before we start, and then you get 7, 8, depending on how many papers or abstracts, and you get a month, 5, 6 weeks to review them. You get to be part of the process of putting the symposium together. So thank you to Atif and all of the first year members of our committee who helped make this symposium what it is. And we hope all of you return and we see some new faces next year. Jose.
I'm really excited for Latin America and the work that is being submitted to the symposium. The participation has increased. Brazil is the driving force in Latin America. Not surprising, is the superpower in Latin America. So I'm really happy that is happening. And I'm really looking forward of that increase in participation in the actual symposium year.
Great, thank you, Jose. So we're talked about, you've heard about some posters. Last year we did this, we did a kind of a Mad Minutes right the week of the symposium, that Tuesday. If you want to highlight your poster, try to attract some interest on that Tuesday call before the symposium, we will have time for people to go 60 seconds, talk about their poster, why they should find you. You'll know what session you are, what number you are at that point. So we'll plan for that. But you have a sense now of how good this collaborator showcase is going to be. So we do hope that you will look forward to it, take part in it, join a poster walk, anything. But this is going to be a really great event. And then, of course, the OHDSI Symposium, if you've been to one before, the closing is memorable. I have some papers on my desk that show a little bit of what's happening. We're not going to show those right now, but Patrick, you want to just kind of go through the final parts of the main day?
Yeah, I think the thing about our end of our symposium is we try to make a reason why you need to actually stick around for the whole day. And you'll actually see that our symposium will run through 8:00 p.m. So for those of you who are thinking to make a day trip, just know that it's going to be a long evening, but I promise it'll be worthwhile. At our closing, one of the probably most important things is that we'll celebrate by awarding the 2023 Titan Awards. We'll make sure we have a group photo to remember the day. But then also, for those of you who were there last year and know that I got a little carried away with the closing, can promise you that I've gotten a little more carried away with the closing for this year, and we're going to have a really good time. Also excited that this year we had a suggestion from the community that we also make sure that we have some additional fun. So we'll be holding the OHDSI Got Talent show for the evening after our network reception. So it'll be a great time just to have some fun together as a community, and a great way to finish off our Friday evening as we lead into the weekend activities.
Absolutely. So that is Friday. So that's a lot, and we haven't even gotten to the rest of the weekend. So I have a couple slides from Devera. Let's just start like this. Patrick, can you just talk briefly about, because we've done a bit about how often, talk briefly about how often and the introductory tutorial, and then we'll move to the different work group leads and activities. We'll start with Devera's slides and transition from there. So Patrick.
Yeah, so the weekend we have a wide array of different activities for folks to choose what they're going to engage and participate in. Saturday morning, there will be an intro to Odyssey tutorial for the morning session. So for those of you who are new or just want to catch up on a landscape assessment of everything that's going on in Odyssey, I encourage you to come join that morning tutorial. In the afternoon and then during lunch break, both Saturday and Sunday, we'll be continuing the collaborator showcase. So if you missed somebody's poster or demo on Friday, you'll have ample opportunity to catch up with them on Saturday and Sunday. In the afternoon session of Saturday and the morning session of Sunday, we will be doing the How Often workshop. And this is the exercise that George is leading, where we are trying to do large-scale incident characterization. And so this is a session that we have blocked the time so that we hope that the entire community will engage with us on that. And we've been thinking specifically about how to make sure that it will be meaningful for everyone to really participate. But those are two activities that will be going on Saturday, just to whet your appetite. But we're keen to make sure that you're aware of the other activities that are also going on in parallel, starting with Devera in the HL7 Connectathon.
Okay, so you've heard from us plenty now. We want to hear from you. I do want to save a couple minutes at the end for just a couple of like logistic information about the symposium. But I'm going to now kind of turn it over. Let's start with Devera. Do you want to say a few things about the Connectathon? I'll run your slides that you sent me.
Sure. Thanks so much. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So hello, everyone. I'm joining you today from sunny Phoenix, Arizona, where I am attending the 37th annual HL7 plenary working group meeting and Fire Connectathon. So it's fitting that I should be at this event and talk to you today about the OMOP and Fire Connectathon that we have planned for the Odyssey Symposium. So why are we doing this? The goals that we have for the Connectathon, that'll be on the Run All Day Sunday on the 22nd, is that this was one of the target goals that we had as a working group, a brand new working group for our OKRs for the year. And we wanted to engage in some hands-on community collaborative kind of events as a component of how we're going to generate a specification for the bidirectional transformation between fire and OMOP for common core EHR data. So the way that we're going to do this, again, this is a collaborative kind of activity. We are going to crowdsource with all of you example transformations for core EHR data. And this is not a one-time investment. Part of what we're going to do is we're going to retain components of our Connectathon architecture and certainly the data as a reference implementation that we will iterate and do other events on, but also persist those so we can use those to help support our specification generation, taking a look at gaps and overlaps and whatnot. So why should you be excited about this Connectathon and spend your Sunday with us? Well, first of all, we designed the day to allow anyone in the community to, with any skill set, to participate. You don't have to have a background doing coding or have a lot of knowledge about ETL. Anybody can come and get hands-on, and you'll see why here in a little bit. We have two different systems that we're using to perform the transformations. And so you'll get a firsthand opportunity to utilize those systems. And then another perk is that we also recognize that maybe many people in the Odyssey community may not have experience with fire. So you'll get a little bit of training for about fire and get some hands-on experience with that. Next slide, please. So just as a high-level overview of the workflow, we're going to start with some identical sample data on both OMAP and Fire. And then we're going to use Piano and Campfire, the two different systems in the day, to create transformed data onto the opposite models. And again, we're going to persist these 4 data stores to perform our gap analyses, our overlap analyses, and support the generation of our specification as the other activities roll on with our work group. Next slide, please. So we will distribute ahead of time some preparation instructions and workflow examples to registered participants. So it's real important to get your registration in so we know, so we can start working with you ahead of time. We don't want to spend a lot of our time during the day doing just initial setup, but please come anyway. But we will start off the day to do just some preliminary overview and some cursory workflows. We will spend the rest of the morning to doing some transformations. And then after lunch, because we know many of you in Odyssey don't have any or have a lot of experience with fire, we're going to do a little bit of instruction about fire and introduce some of the fire information in the context of using some of the fire artifacts that we generated during the morning. We will demonstrate some of those queries. And then in the afternoon, we'll do some more transformations, and then we'll be working with you to develop what are our next steps and what is the follow-up. Next slide, please. So this event is really a big deal, and we're a brand new work group. So I want to make sure to acknowledge the individuals that have come and contributed to the meetings, to the development of the work, and have helped us generate what we're going to do in this Connect-a-thon. And so we have those folks listed here. I hope this has been good information, just a little bit to get you excited about the Connect-a-thon, and I hope to see all of you then on Sunday. And please reach out if you have any questions ahead of time. Thanks so much for your time.
Great, Tavera. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to try to pull up, at least actually put it on the in the chat, the agenda, all the work group agendas. Let me just hop onto that. While we are there, I believe this is it. So you should be seeing the agendas right now. Kind of just go through anybody from CDM or network data quality on. Okay. Katie.
Well,
oh, go ahead, Erica. Sorry.
Is Claire not here?
I am. I was just trying to get unmuted. Sorry, I had to plug my headphones in. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so the Saturday sessions, 8 to 12, like Craig was mentioning, we will be having a kind of combination CDM data network meeting. Really what we're trying to do is, we really want to hear from you guys as a community. We started this pilot of using data diagnostics to help us understand which databases in the global Odyssey network are the best candidates for certain studies. And so we really want to take that a step further, and we want to hear from you all about any barriers you have to joining, what we can do to help you from a data governance perspective, but also we want to understand, what do you want to see if you were leading a network study? What kind of information would be valuable to you? And then how can we kind of put that all together and continue to move forward our efforts in building out this full Odyssey data network?
Excellent. Thank you, Claire. I should mention, when you register, you'll have the opportunity to choose which of these activities you want to join. It helps Elise plan what rooms things will be in, so we have kind of the right space for the right numbers. So this is helpful stuff. Please do make sure you're checking boxes to let us know what you're going to join. Hades Hackathon. Anybody from the Hades team want to share anything? Okay, but that is a Saturday morning and Sunday afternoon event, so it's going to be a double session. Health equity work group.
I can give an update here.
Okay, great.
So the health equity work group this year, just learning from last year, is going to do a bit more hands-on work. So we're expanding to have a workshop where we will be able to play some data and really see some of these equity measures and social determinism measures impacting outcomes. We're also having a panel session and a talk session on really looking at what is the implementation strategy of having health equity measures in the real world. So just assessing from a clinical perspective, a policy and advocacy perspective on how these tools are being translated and communicated into decision makers. And we're potentially having a shark tank, or a smaller version of the SOS challenge, where we'll be picking up key projects and hoping the group members are excited to take this on for the year 2024 as deliverables and papers within the equity group.
Thank
a lot
you so much.
4 hours. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much, Atif, and thank you for taking more of a leadership role in the health equity team this year. Medical imaging.
Sorry, I was just coming off of mute. So yeah, we have just published or submitted a paper for publication. We finished our extension for the medical imaging extension for OHDSI. So we're going to be spending a bit of time explaining the new data model. And then we're building a consortium of sites that are building reference implementations of mapping their DICOM data sources into the OMOP model for cohort discovery purposes, with the plans of running our first data characteristics network studies by the beginning of next year, and hopefully running a federated learning model training by mid next year. And so this will be working on helping people understand the new extension that we've constructed over the past year and a half.
Great, thank you, Paul. I should mention the timings of these. I mean, it's on the screen, but Health Equity Saturday AM, Medical Imaging Saturday AM as well. I'll go to next page. NLP. Anybody from NLP?
Hi, Greg. I can go over.
Great.
Yeah. So we have this NLP proposal, Note NLP proposal that is going on. Sorry. And we have made some progress on it. So Michael will be discussing about that. 3 studies are running in parallel that focus on how NLP brings more value, adding both structured and unstructured data. So one is on oncology, another one is on psychiatry, and the third one is on social determinants of health. So we'll be discussing the progress of these studies. Another thing that we always get asked is about the NLP validation process, how we can use these NLP tools, how we can validate it within the OHDSI framework. So we have a draft, thanks to Daniel. So we'll be discussing that during the working group meeting. And of course, nothing happens in NLP nowadays without talking about large language models. So we have some presentations on that too. So I'm more excited about that. So hope you are also. And if you want to learn more on this, tomorrow we have the working group meeting and we'll be discussing more of all this, what you can look forward to during the work group meeting. Thank you.
Excellent, Vipina. Thank you so much. Last one on this page, at least, the OHDSI Industry Working Group Kickoff Meeting, a Saturday morning session. Anybody want to discuss this? I'll give people a second to get off mute, but okay, the information here is on this form. Our pregnancy and reproductive health group.
Hi, Craig. Yeah, Allison here. Good morning.
Hey, Allison.
Good day to everybody. So yes, this session, this is also on Saturday morning, and we will be going back to some OHDSI roots by focusing on identifying and developing phenotypes that are relevant to studies in the space of pregnancy and reproductive health. And actually at our main work group meeting, which is next Wednesday, we will be meeting as a group to vote on what phenotypes we should focus on during the workshop. So if that sounds interesting to anyone who doesn't normally join our monthly calls, but you have an interest in providing some guidance and joining the conversation about what phenotypes matter in this community, we would love to see you there. So thanks.
Great, thank you, Allison. Moving now to Sunday afternoon. First one I'm seeing is the Africa chapter workshop. Anybody want to share anything about the Africa chapter workshop?
Yeah, this is Cynthia. Oops. Mute. Anyway, I will be introducing. We'll start off just with a little introduction about what the Africa chapter has been doing for the past year. We've really greatly expanded our membership and really excited about that. For this particular workshop is going to be very hands-on. There's a lot of interest in pregnancy outcomes in Africa. So this is actually kind of a nice follow-on from the pregnancy group. And we have a number of surveys that we'd like to map into the OMOP common data model. And so if you would like to have sort of hands-on experience of how you do that process of survey to OMOP CDM, this would be a good one to join. If you're interested in pregnancy related work, this would be a good one. And if you're interested in like what's happening in and the things that are of interest in surveys collected in Africa, this is a good one to do. And we thought it'd be like a very tight piece of work that we could accomplish in this afternoon. So hope to see you there.
Great, thank you, Cynthia. Because it's on the screen, and I know there was a question in the chat. So the main conference is in person only. It will be recorded, but there is not a virtual component to it. The different work group meetings, that is kind of up to the work groups whether there's going to be a virtual link. So I'm looking at the Africa chapter. It specifically says, while in-person attendance is strongly encouraged, if you're unable to travel, a meeting link will be posted at the OHDSI Africa chapter team. So if you are not able to make it, or if you cannot stay through the weekend, please do make sure you reach out to your work groups and find out, whether this is an option. Again, this is completely up to the work groups. Final one on this document is healthcare systems interest group. Anybody want to share on the healthcare systems interest group? Okay, this one is also Sunday PM. All right, that is all that we have currently sent in, at least that I have so far. Yeah, now I want to go
one more, Greg. I think Gautam's just isn't in this PDF document.
Yeah, this one I know there's an updated one that Elise just put up. So Gautam, go ahead, and then Asya.
Thank you, Greg. So I'm talking about the phenotype development evaluation work group, and as you know, this work group has two major responsibilities. One is the OHDSI phenotype library, and the other one is to enable the community to phenotype together, such as Phenotype February. So one of this work group is meeting on Saturday at 9 a.m. and we have three main topics that we want to address. We want to collaborate with the How Often study and build on top of the incidence rate analysis that it is doing to augment some of the cohorts that are in the OHDSI phenotype library and part of the How Often with characterization results such as those in cohort diagnostics. So we will use the combination of the studies, cohorts in How Often, and cohort diagnostics output from the OHDSI network to assess for potential measurement errors. We will also attempt to use p-evaluator. We will then provide that input to the How Often study leads, and then followed by, we'll perform descriptive analytics on the target outcomes that are part of the How Often study. And our goal is to enable collaborators in the OHDSI community to lead a manuscript for peer review publications that provides insights on a phenotype. And that has been posted there in the OHDSI forum. We really encourage you all to come. Asa, I, and many other members of the OHDSI Phenotype Development Evaluation Work Group are looking forward to collaborate with you all as we fully evaluate core definitions and make them available as a resource to the community and generate evidence about them for peer-reviewed scientific publications.
Great, thank you, Gautam, and that is a Saturday morning session. Asya.
I'm listening to everything and I'm thinking how I can make a couple of myself so I can attend all of them and maybe just cancel the oncology one. But let me do a little bit of marketing. Oh, there's a lot good. I don't know whether I can compete with any of them. The agenda will come soon, but the idea, we're also meeting on Saturday, like everybody else, or most of us. We're going to have two sessions. The first one just to give an overview of like what the community has been doing. Specifically, a lot of work is going on, community contribution to the vocabulary, some of the tools, so everyone can actually get a chance to also look into the tools and start working on that. And the second part of the session, we're going to focus on one of the ongoing studies that we have within the work group, trying to make progress in that. And very specifically, we're going to use the new tool that we've developed, looking at deriving oncology regimens, looking at that and do some evaluation validation, which would be a preliminary step, and applying it at a larger scale. So if you have data, if you want to do a study, if you want to be a part of that paper, please join. I'm going to reach out to some of our friends and data partners who have data to help us with some execution of the work beforehand, and then we'll also have a chance to do a live demo session with any of you who come and have the data, and I hope I can see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you, Asya. I know there's a lot of people who've heard a lot and are like, how can I be in 4 or 5 different places? So if we can figure out cloning by then, we're in good shape. Otherwise, pick and choose. So that is, I don't see any other hands raised, and we are down to about 5 minutes left. So again, we will have that last call before the symposium if people want to make any kind of final pitches for their work group meetings. I did, as I said, I do want to go over just a little bit in terms of logistics, because we are at a new place, and you know, so it's a new place you're flying into or getting to. First of all, we have to thank Elise, who is, it's like watching Michael Jordan in his prime at this point. Like, she is just making magic happen. She has a FAQs page on the OHDSI website. So the left column comes straight from the OHDSI homepage, which is a drop down on ohdsi.org. But there's a frequently asked questions page that has a lot of the logistical information, but we did kind of want to just talk about it really briefly. So again, we're at the Hilton East Brunswick Hotel and Meeting Center. We will basically own the hotel. It's like 10 minutes from Rutgers University's campus. And so if there's a home football game that weekend, the hotel is all Rutgers football people. And if there's not, it's empty. And so this year it's not going to be empty because it's going to be all OHDSI people, which is why I keep saying, please register and do all this hotel stuff like sooner rather than later. Has a lot of details about where to fly into, which I know is a big question. So the closest is Newark International Airport. It's about 25 minutes away. You have options at LaGuardia, JFK, and Philadelphia International Airport. There's more information. These are literally just screenshots. So I want to make sure you know kind of where you can get to for this page. But it's on the OHDSI homepage. There's a lot going on in New York City. There is, and Patrick jump in, or Elise jump in, but you can get there by bus, by train. The train station is like 5 minutes from the hotel. The bus is like right there. So if you've never been to New York City, Saturday night is an opportunity for sure. Hopefully you'll stay throughout the whole conference on Friday nights. There's more information about the hotel, you know, all the details, like kind of symposium details. Everything is on that logistics page. Patrick or Elise, anything you want to add?
Go ahead, Elise.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that as we get closer, we had an idea that we'll create something in Teams, but since there will be free time on Saturday, you guys can go into the city if you want, obviously. You can go together, you can go to a show, what have you. And there is a bus, it's coach bus, like right next to, like right there. And it's like 45 minutes into the city. So that's probably the quickest thing to do. Patrick knows New Jersey better than I do. I'm a New Yorker, but he can chime in. But yeah, so there's a lot of great chances to network with each other, even if it's, you know, having a drink and going into the city.
Yeah, so things we really need you to do right now, if you haven't done it yet. Number one, please register for the OHDSI Symposium. Go to our website, click on the link, and make sure that you've got your spot. Number two, hope that you're going to be staying for the 3 days and would recommend that you go get a hotel room at the Hilton East Brunswick now. Currently, the rates are actually still pretty reasonable, but as we get closer and it starts to fill up, it's going to be get a little bit more expensive. So encourage you to get your hotel now. Number 3 is we have a packed weekend of really fun science that's going on. As Craig mentioned, Friday night, we're going to kind of run late with the community activities. We hope that you'll engage in all of those with us. But Saturday, we very purposely are cutting the evening or stopping the community activities at 5 p.m. because we know that people may want to go into New York City, and that will provide you ample time to get into the city. And we might even have something fun planned in the Times Square area in case somebody's interested. So there's something in store for those that want to go see the big city. Otherwise, New Brunswick is just a 5-minute car ride away. There's lots of cool restaurants and bars to hang out on Saturday. And then just make sure you come back on Sunday because we got a lot of full activities of our workshop activities and collaborations going on. So it's going to be a really great 3 days. Hope that you'll all register. Hope that you'll all get your hotels signed up. You've now heard all the exciting stuff that's going on and really want you all to be an active part of it.
Okay, so first of all, before anyone asks, there's not an OHDSI activity happening at Times Square. So sometimes I have to reel Patrick in a little bit, but there's not going to be a show or anything at Times Square. But, you know, we'll see what we have. Anyway, if you need to find anything, OHDSI website. This is a drop down here, 2023 OHDSI Global Symposium, or this button. This drop down takes you to the symposium homepage. This has everything, okay? The registration link, main conference agenda, weekend schedule. I mentioned that frequently asked questions link. It's right there. Anything you need, you can find on the symposium webpage. If you have a question, symposium@ohdsi.org. That is what email Elise checks. She'll get back to you. We'll get back to you. Reach out with any questions. Please register. Please register. Let's not wait till the end. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you to the Scientific Review Committee. Thank you to everybody, work group leads, anybody who presented today. This is going to be an amazing event. We're really looking forward to it. Less than 6 weeks away. Not much else to say. We can't wait to see you there.